Hey, and welcome to another City Skylines challenge. This is a sort of follow-up to my previous City Skylines video where I made a Megalopolis in a modded map that ended up being way easier than I thought it was going to be. Also, yes, I got the word Megalopolis wrong in that video, like 10 times. Anyways, today we're gonna see how much population I can fit into a single tile in City Skylines. I picked the Desert Oasis map from the Sunset Harbor DLC. It's got a lot of buildable space, looked relatively flat, and had the maximum population requirement for a Megalopolis in the base game of 90,000. Instead of the stupid little one-way loop around the tile that I tried last time, I just made a high-capacity central road connected to the highway, and built my grid off that. For the beginning bit here, I'll just be using the water pumps to slowly drain the little lake in the corner here, and get all my water from that. My initial focus is just to start building out my city to fill up the tile. Build up my economy and infrastructure, get my road network laid down, so just standard City Skyline stuff. I quickly hit 500 pops and Little Hamlet, and can demonstrate my ability to learn from my mistakes and start very early on educating my population. 1,000 pops, and the Worthy Village title is another easy milestone, as it's meant to be. Don't worry though, this time the milestones do actually get more difficult to attain as the game goes on. It's just these early milestones that unlock new major mechanics that come pretty quickly one after the other. That being said, I hit Tiny Town at 1,500 pops and unlocked landscaping. When I was initially looking at this map, I didn't realize how sloped the back half of it was. Flattening out the tile ended up being the most expensive and time-intensive part of this challenge. I started building a temporary road around the lake so I can start using the space over there while the water's draining. This is by far the most interesting looking road in the entire build, and it would unfortunately be getting demolished fairly soon because it simply isn't efficient. At 2,800 pops, I hit Boomtown and unlocked a handful of policies that I'd be using to reduce problems and raise land value and citizen happiness. Namely, the recycling and smoke detector distribution to keep my pops from setting their trash on fire, and rectangular use? No. And recreational use to increase tax income and reduce crime. Then started the long process of shifting all this dirt out of my city. Unfortunately, you aren't allowed to scam someone into buying 200 tons of sand, so every time I filled up the soil capacity bar, I had to wait to do any more until I had a spare 50 grand to pay someone to deal with all my sand. By the end of this playthrough, I was really starting to hate sand. I mean, it's coarse and irritating, gets everywhere. My city became a busy town at 5,500 population, and I replaced all these awful dusty dirt roads with pretty roads with trees. A little while later, I got ripped away from laying down some more roads by the lamest forest fire I've ever seen. A single palm tree and a bush. That's what constitutes a forest fire natural disaster on this map, apparently. It did set a couple buildings on fire, but my firefighters were more than capable of dealing with that. About an hour and a half into the playthrough, I got to the big town milestone with 8,000 population. I started slowly, block by block, replacing my low-density districts with their high-density counterparts. I took it slow so I could keep an eye on whether or not I had enough educated citizens to fill jobs, and thanks to the much slower pace of this attempt, I actually did. It had taken long enough to get to this point that around half of my population were educated to some degree, and that percentage would only increase as the game went on. By just replacing my low-density residential areas with high-density residential areas, I more than doubled my population, hitting small city at 11,000 and big city at 18,000. While I was slowly replacing zones, the lake finally drained enough for me to flatten the land without causing a flash flood, and I replaced my pumps with water towers, then bulldozed all my moderately interestingly shaped roads and replaced them with rectangles. Then I got named a grand city with 22,000 population, which unlocked the desperately needed waste processing complex. Garbage has been a consistent borderline issue throughout the run. While I have plenty of trash capacity, my trash processing has been consistently awful. Mostly because I have all my garbage facilities smooshed together in one corner of the map to reduce ground pollution, and the waste processing complex helped this issue tremendously. At around 24,000 population, I decided to paint the entire tile as a district, which kind of defeats the purpose of having a district, but whatever. I then applied the high-tech housing policy to the entire district to increase the land value. I'm pretty sure that when I fill up this tile, my main way of further increasing the population will be by increasing land value and leveling up my buildings. So I figured I should get a start on that. I was so busy fiddling around with the landscaping in the back of the tile that I didn't realize that a solid third of my city had died and were rotting in their apartments. I panic built a crematorium that was almost immediately filled to capacity. It's really too bad that you can't sell bodies from your cemeteries on the black market, or donate them to science, or burn them for fuel or something. They kind of just have to sit there in the ground and take up space. This is also the point where I started to realize that the demand for industry zones was going to be a pretty severe limiting factor. Actual industrial zones seem to be a lot more space efficient than office building, but that 100% could just be a coincidence or me not knowing how the hell this game works. At 48,000 pops, I got the colossal city milestone and finally finished flattening out the ground. Yeah, remember at the beginning when I said the map looked flat? Well, I also forgot to mention that I have the depth perception of a blind toddler. And at about 51,000 population, I've completely filled out this tile with my road grid. I'm able to squeeze in another couple thousand people by putting in some strategically located parks that significantly increase my land value. But that's where I'm going to leave it for today. 53,000 population in a single tile certainly isn't bad, but I think I can optimize this more to cram even more people in. I have a few ideas of my own, but I'd also love some suggestions on what else I can try with this map. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.